Yeah, anyway, I want to say something real quick about the deal about the Sprite and the design that's made with the cap itself of a 21-ounce bottle of Sprite, and the thing about I like the Sprite and anything about it, and the design of it. I mean, when I think about it, the design of it, I mean, it gives the appearance of what might be representative of JJ. And the thing with this is that when I've been thinking about something about the class curve or something eccentric in the way of a boomerang in Australia, um, and the deal about the boomerang being amphibious, and you know a little bit of humor about the yeah I'll have another one, yeah I'll have another um, yeah amphibious J. Edgar Hoover What Sprite, yeah, and not necessarily I think I've had enough delirious acronyms, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, so something about the JJ and the Watt being like the impedance and ambience, and the Hopstein thing, of the jaywalk being amphibious in the way of J. Edgar Hoover, of Hover and Hoover, and the deal about that, and normally that involves some military involving Rangers, my thought and perception beyond, what would maybe be only a state level, but beyond a state level of Rangers that way of military, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it seemed to be something in my mind of something seemed to be involving several factors of during the time it seemed to be like action arms in military as far as like firearms and the Uzi thing of Israel. Uzi being like a 9mm fully automatic deal. And the thing about it is, what is that, the 26, 46, 47? And it's like 56, okay? My focus about something about that, the Israeli thing about that it seemed to be action arms, and in my mind something about a personality suggesting motivational speaking, and the thought of some interchangeability in the way. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking about a person in the way of firearms in the magazine. I'm trying to remember if it was like ammo, but it was like it was a magazine that had Uzi, and Action Arms is the distribution that was like available back in the 80s, and something about really the Ranger of night vision of color code, of military, beyond a state level. I don't know if I would limit it to maybe something involving something about it, yeah. But I'm not going to direct my attention anything beyond that point. But yeah, beyond state level of military, yeah, of the Rangers, yeah. And the amphibious thing about J. Edgar Hoover that way, and I thought about the impedance and ambience of the 13-band graphic equalizer, and the design made with a actual bottle cap of a 21-ounce bottle of like Sprite. But anyway, it's kind of like it looks like it could be two J's. It's amphibious in a way based upon the thought of some idea of like referencing what the class curve might only mean as something eccentric, yet of the jaywalk of like Hopsing in a way, but at the same time amphibious, of what that really is to the Rangers of the hovercraft of J. Edgar Hoover being the amphibious deal, or the boomerang that way. And ultimately, it gets to like the impedance and ambience of like night vision, what the Ranger really is, and involved that way, beyond the state level of military, of like night vision that way. And the thing about the Watt, like J.J. Watt, like on the Houston Texan, in my mind, I mean, truthfully, the design on the Sprite is really, gives the appearance of JJ, and I mean, if that only needs to mean something in my mind of the walk, or hop sing that way, yeah, because it seemed to be like really, instead of like maybe the Golden Arch would represent maybe the streets of gold as compared to the White Arch in St. Louis, that would represent in my mind automatically something about the somewhere in between White Oak and John Wayne, and the hop sing thing about really some color codes beyond yeah, even the high silver thing of like where that stainless deal about the oldest governmental mainframe, and what that is to really the color code of like totally being white, and the high silver thing about the where that's at, in governmental venue, being one of the oldest governmental computer mainframes, being like the Whopper. Okay, and like once again, yeah, okay. Well, anyways, I was kind of like thinking about the design because my thing was automatically something about the boomerang as well as the jaywalk, and and the impedance and ambience of like of night vision, the nano units, the 13-band graphic equalizer, and like I'd mentioned, the one with ambience being more so on the I'm not sure if it's actually representing a meter of amplification as compared to the impedance being read. Maybe the thought of what would be maybe some form of dissipation in a way of impedance, and being resistance in that way, placing resistance as a thought of what dissipation would only mean to maybe present a lesser than value by using resistance, given the effect of a dissipation in that way. In a different manner, like a capacitor would be like an overflow of providing a constant as an overflow on the supply side as compared to the impedance being of the supply, but yet representing almost a dissipating factor of like rectification likewise. I mean, my thought of like that real quick, I was thinking about if a capacitor really is presenting what might only represent resistance, but really isn't. It's just it regulates like a voltage regulator would, except in a DC circuit, providing a constant that way, and not necessarily alternating, but direct and constant that way, like a capacitor does. And the deal about atmosphere and like dissipating an overabundant amount of electrical, even in the atmosphere, like normal daily weather condition, and maybe regulating factors. And somewhere in my mind, I see if power generators, and really how true it is, I'm really not sure, but I'm thinking that the conversion between generators going beyond having a need to measure in watts as compared to into electrical of high rise that way. Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking about that because the design on the Sprite bottle, and I mean, yeah, the can and the bottle, I think it's 2008. But anyway, then I was thinking about with the impedance and ambience and 13-band graphic equalizer that way, and all that amphibious stuff about it, and even the color code of province, and ultimately, that being the color code of pastel. How true it is with the Sprite, I'm not sure if it's actually considered a pastel. Maybe so. The two colors, maybe one, both presenting a pastel and what would maybe represent maybe even a, the traffic light as compared to the red and green of nanoluminance being a pastel. Would be the deal of maybe even the history of the television in a way of Technicolor. What pastel only presents as Technicolor, and really something about that, and in a way of like in my mind, something of the Oracle Corporation in a way of something that way of and I was referring to it a little earlier, that way of color code. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So I don't want to go off into that direction or not, but I just wanted to mention that about the Sprite and the Watt, another Watt. Yeah, as compared to the JJ Watt thing, and the design of it seemed to be, in my mind, it would give the impression of, the J, and the Watt, my thing about the impedance and ambience on the 13-band graphic equalizer, likewise at the same time. I think Mexico was like the only, at the time, it was like my thing was like Clarion and 200 watt 13-band graphic equalizers, and I had a Clarion. It was ultimately the one I really liked, but I had the one that had the green as ambience, and the one as there were actually two of the ambience being the nano pastel red. One was of Mexico, and one likewise was of the USA. But anyway, yeah, there was like one of Mexico only that I knew of, and normally products of distributed from Mexico to like anywhere in the area was like, I mean, really not normal at all, really. But anyway, that was something about that. Yeah. So so anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say something about that because it seemed to be something likewise in addition to the boomerang, amphibious that way, yet jaywalk, yet still amphibious that way, and the hop sing thing about it. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to say something about that real quick. Okay, good. There it is. Yeah.